Can you hear me? Good. We'll be starting shortly. Welcome to the live. I am author Kay Lee. I'm excited for you to be here today. I want you to go ahead and in Atlanta. So if you are in Atlanta, awesome, awesome, awesome. But it is loud. So I'm trying to make sure you can actually hear me. And yeah, so I'm in between two different rooms with two different audios going on. So put it in the comments if you can hear me. Oh, I think you can see me now. Okay, I'm gonna just send this out real quick. Hi all. Can you hear me? Okay, if you can hear me, just drop it in the comments. All right, so I am at the Atlanta Women's Expo here at the Gas South Convention Center. I'm excited to be here, and I trust you are going to be excited for what I have for you today. And I'm going to go ahead and just send you a real quick welcome, and we'll get started. Okay, I believe y'all can hear me, so I'm so excited. I'm so grateful. Today we are doing a new topic for the month, and I want to go ahead and get started with that. So, without further ado, I am going to take you there. All right, so if you can see it, wonderful. I'm going to try to make it bigger also, so you can see it a little bit better. Let's see. Now, if you're new to Embrace Your Crown, there are three books that ultimately make up the series. It's going to be essentially Embrace Your Crown and Find and Overcome Heartbreak. It's going to be Find and Overcome Your Unbelief. And the third book is To Sharpen Your Focus. So if you are looking to sharpen your focus, to accomplish something, to overcome your inadequacies, this is the program. This is the monthly meetup for you. And I'm so grateful, so excited that you are here. And I believe it's going to be a phenomenal time. One in which I believe is going to be extremely, just helpful and, beneficial to you on today. I want to find a way to make this a little bit bigger because it looks a little small to me. So let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. But if you can't see, just drop it in the comments and let me know, and I will make it bigger. But again, welcome and thank you so much for tuning in. Uh, okay, so today we are going to be talking about a new topic. I'm not going to go over the books because I just did. So that's a glimpse of the three books I just mentioned. A little bit about me. I am a author and publisher. I've published over 41 books to date, and I'm looking at getting to 50 books before year's end. So far, so good. And today I'm excited because I get to bring you some real good content, and I believe it's going to help you. Now, I do cater towards four different people in this group. I'm going to be talking to those that are business owners, those that are caregivers, those that are prayer warriors, and those that are just looking for God right now in their lives. And I trust that you all will enjoy what is going to be said and the experience you're going to have today. And again, I thank you for joining me on this conversation. And I want to talk today about elevation. I know sometimes when it's time for us to elevate, we may not always, know what that looks like. And so I want to ultimately talk to you today about someone that I feel like has an incredible elevation story, and that is going to be Joseph. If you're unfamiliar with the story, a life of Joseph, I want to show you how he graduated and essentially elevated in his life and how the lesson that he started was completed. So I know for some of us, we're all going through a lesson, a test, a trial, and we're looking for the Father in the midst of this. And I want to show you how the Father is here and how what you are doing and having to go through has a purpose. Okay. So right now you're like, okay, Crystal, I'm going through the test, I'm going through the storm, but what next? And I want to encourage you to hang in there. Okay. I know for some of you, you're starting books, you're starting businesses, you're starting all this new things, and you're wondering, okay, what if it's not working? Or what if it's working, but it's so slow? What if I'm gifted, but nobody sees it? And I want to share a story with you from the life of Joseph. I'm going to walk a little bit because I don't know what happened, but they're like blasting something. And I don't know if you can hear me as well. So I'm going to try to find a comfortable corner. So I am at the Gwinnett Center. If you're wondering where I am and why the music is so loud, I apologize, y'all. So I'm going to move around a little bit, just a little bit. But how you doing? How you doing? I pray you're having a great day. Just having fun, meeting new people, definitely talking about my books and just making sure that I can be where you are. And so right now I'm in Atlanta, and I think I just kind of got the noise to calm down because it is loud. It's loud over there. Maybe you can hear me a little bit better now. So yeah. So here we are. Okay, much better, right? You can probably hear me a whole lot better. But anyway, so let's go back to essentially what we're doing today, right? So we're talking about how to graduate and elevate, okay? So I'm going to go back to where I was, my presentation. Okay, awesome. So the first thing or the first check-in point that we're going to check in with ultimately is we don't choose our test. What I want to show you is that Joseph didn't get a chance to choose his family, to choose his friends, well, you choose your friends, but you don't choose your siblings. You don't choose the mother or the father that the father gifts you with. You're really just born into it. And I know for some of us, we might say, well, why? Why did I have this? Or why do I have to live like this or accept this? And the truth is, there's a reason that the Father has for everything under the sun, but we may not always understand it, nor do we necessarily always appreciate it. So, but the same thing is true too. We don't get to change it because we don't like it, right? So we just have to pray that the Father will be willing to show us what is the purpose. Because I want to tell you that no matter where you are today, no matter how you may feel about life, there is a purpose for why you are where you're at. Now, I know that this is probably extremely tiny, so I'm going to try to blow this up a little bit. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Let's see. Can it go bigger? Let me see if I can turn it this way and make it a little bigger. It might not let me get it bigger, but okay. So if you can read my screen, let me see. Okay, so there are factors in life we don't choose. So here are some of the factors to highlight. Joseph did not choose his family, neither his father, mother, brothers, or sisters. He didn't pick his country, community, or the culture in which he was raised. He didn't pick if he was a Hebrew born, of promise, or Gentile. We don't get to choose that either. The gifts that were imparted on the inside of him to interpret dreams and to be able to ultimately be a voice for Yah or God in the earth, he didn't pick that either. We are all on an assignment, born on purpose with a purpose. And we don't choose what that purpose really even is because it was already imparted on us and it was already by design. But we can impact the outcome of our test with our choices. And your life is always going to be bigger than you. This is one of the things that I love that I discovered about this story is our lives are always bigger than where we are. And in Genesis chapter 30, verses 24 and 26, it reads like this. And it says, and God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her and opened her womb, and she conceived and bare a son and said, God have taken away my reproach, because she was barren. She couldn't have children. But the father, as she said, looked upon her and gave her what she was praying for, which was a son or a baby. And she called his name Joseph and said, the Lord shall add to me another son. So in verse 25, and it came to pass when Rachel was born Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, send me away that I may go unto my own place and to my own country. You see, sometimes we are in a place, but that place is not permanent. I know it might feel like it is. We might say, oh, this is all that God has for me. This is all he may want. This is all I see. This is all I can believe for. But then when you start to, pull away from that, we may realize, oh, this isn't everything that God has for me. I actually think he has a whole lot more for me. And I want to show you that Joseph's story and Joseph's promise was for Joseph. I have a play called What's for You is for You. And it's written based on the life of Joseph. And it's written on the life that he ultimately had to live, the things that he had to ultimately embrace, the things that he had to learn. And I want to show you how, when we embrace these things and how we embrace change and growth, that we can actually obtain some things in our lives like Joseph. Now, Joseph still had a story. He still had things going on. He still had problems, right? And so I want to show you too some of the things that Joseph had to do and to overcome that ultimately we do too. And then we get to our second point as such. So in the second point, it says we can impact the test and how we respond to the change. So how we're responding to change does matter. Some people might say, well, oh, it really doesn't matter what I do. It's still going to be like this or like that. But it actually really does matter what you do. The coat of many colors. Everyone won't see your gifts and smile upon you. Some will get jealous, some will plot, and others will try to help, but they will fail to help. Like Reuben tried to help Joseph, but he couldn't save Joseph. And the truth is, we don't get to control what people are plotting or, why they want what they want for us, even ill will. But we can choose to how we're going to respond in the midst of it. After a dream Joseph had, even his father questioned his, dreaming abilities and if he got it right, because he said that all his family bowed down to him. And in his culture, your father or your parents bowing down to you is not really the best form of respect. So it didn't sound like something, culturally they felt would have been a gift from God or Yah, but it sounded more like it was selfish. And maybe for a moment, all of them couldn't see the vision. And some even got jealous because of the vision. But the truth is, what's for you is for you. And what your purpose is in your family does matter. It doesn't make you, necessarily better than someone else, but it does mean you have a purpose that only you can do. And Joseph was needed for his purpose. Joseph was needed to be the pillar of his family, just like some of you are the pillar of your family. And no one had to agree or even support it for it to become true. Some of you might say, well, ain't nobody going to support me being the pillar of my family. Some people, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, his family didn't support him either. But it did not change the vision nor the purpose the Father put on his life. And it won't change yours either. The only thing that changes outcomes is you. Will you participate? They thought his coat and the gifts that he got from his father made him special. But the truth is that he was already special because God had already chosen him. So if you have if you've already been chosen by the Father, it doesn't matter who doesn't choose you, who agrees, doesn't agree, or any of those things. The only thing that will matter ultimately is what has the Father said about you, said to you concerning your life, concerning your purpose. And that's what you want to focus on. You want to focus on whatever the Father says about your life and not everybody else, because everybody will always have something to say. And not everything they say is going to even be accurate. So, and that's what Joseph had to realize too. Not everybody is going to celebrate, what makes you happy or what, gives you life and energy and fulfills your purpose. And so that's what. In this point, we are ultimately talking about how I'm just going to blow this up a little bit. How you got to remain focused and don't accept decoys. So Joseph knew he had a very important purpose in his life. And this purpose had to be fulfilled no matter what, no matter who was around and what they thought and all that good stuff. And unfortunately, in the midst of what he was doing, there was also a, I will just say, Potiphar's wife, and some will call it a nasty woman, that essentially looked upon his I would say beauty, but the man, so we'll say handsome. That he was handsome, he was attractive, he was a man of good character, he had integrity. And some women will see this in you, or people will see this about you, and instead of them celebrating and wanting to be a part of your life for all the right reasons, they will try to become a decoy to what the Father has. They will become a hindrance, a stumbling block to your assignment. These are going to be people that come and they'll tell you, oh, I'm the one you've been waiting for. I'm the man, or I'm the woman, or I'm this, I'm that. And you quickly find out, oh no, you cannot be the one I've been waiting for, because the person I was waiting for is supposed to have this and do that, whatever. So you want to be careful that in your life, you're not accepting decoys for what the Father promised, thinking that's what he wants for you, when in fact, he has something far greater. And in Joseph's case, Potiphar's wife was not what he wanted, was not what the Father wanted for him. So he had to, of course, deny her because she was a married woman. And the Father ain't going to give you a married person for you. Okay. If they're married, they're off limits. And Potiphar knew that. Joseph knew that, but Potiphar's wife did not get the memo. She didn't just ask him once. This woman repetitively came to Joseph. She came to the prison and tried to feed him and seduce him and get him to, agree to be with her to get out of prison, because she was saying she was his ticket out. Some of you may feel like you're in relationships, in companies, in positions where the only way out is the same person that's responsible for putting you there. And that is not the way it is. So when Joseph was willing to say no and stand on his integrity for 40 years, like, it was a long time. That ain't easy. It's not easy to feel like you're under someone else's thumb for 10, 20, and 30 years because you're doing what's right. He didn't go to prison for something he did wrong. It was for something he did right. And so for some of you, if you feel like you're being, persecuted or oppressed because of something you're doing right, I want to encourage you. Joseph was too. And that story is not a good story or fun, story that we all just want to, tell everybody about. And so I just want to encourage you that if you are being, what I'm saying, treated unfairly, and even if it was your fault, that's what mercy and grace is for. However, many of us are suffering for no fault of our own. And that was the case of Joseph. And so I want to just remind you today that if you are suffering for no fault of your own, don't allow that to change who you are or to make you think that somehow the Father made a mistake on you because people have dropped the ball. Joseph had to remember his assignment. And this is how you ultimately stay focused. You have to remember, what you were called to do, and to be able to deny those that try to say there's something to you that they're not. What are decoys in your life? I want you to ask yourself that question. What are some decoys in your life? And what has you believing that you cannot live without them? Some people will tell you that. Some things will tell you that. And I want you to determine what some of those things are. So as we get to the end, you'll be able to put some action steps in place concerning them. Okay. So let's go to the next slide so you can see that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is when you are low, the schemes comes out to cast doubt. So essentially when Potiphar's wife came back, she was trying to show him that the God he believed in wasn't going to be the God that was going to save him. Some of you are out here believing that, no, I know what I'm believing for. I'm believing for my husband, or I'm believing for a wife, or I'm believing for my business. I'm believing for, children and grandchildren and all these wonderful things. And then there'll be people that'll say, oh, no, your little business ain't going to make it. Oh, you know what? You don't have enough knowledge or education to do what you're saying. Surely, maybe you got it wrong. Maybe you're just supposed to go work for somebody else's business that do what you do. You don't need your own company. I mean, come on, you're young, you don't have an education, or maybe you're old, or, people will say all kinds of stuff, but it's meant to cast doubt. The Bible says that a double-minded man or woman is unstable in all of their ways. So the moment that essentially your unbelief starts getting attacked, or your belief starts getting attacked, and unbelief becomes bigger than your faith, that's when you start realizing you have more problems than one. So when Joseph was essentially helping out, the baker and the cupbearer, he just knew that they were going to remember him, and, help him and tell the king about him, or the Pharaoh. How many of y'all know, like, y'all did right by people, and when it was time for them to stand up for you, they didn't? When it was time for them to say, you know what, I'm so grateful for so and so because they did this for me, or even to tell you thankful and be grateful for some, show their gratitude. That's what I mean. Sometimes you'll find that people won't do that either. They may make you feel like, shoot, I was going to make it without you and you just volunteered. So since you volunteered, I mean, that was on you. So I don't feel like I got to do XYZ. And so they don't. And it's one of the things that is unfair, to say the least, but it is definitely something that I think we all can say we can relate to. And the schemes of people is to try to attack you when you're down. Like I said, Potiphar's wife kept coming again and again, but I would even tell you that old thoughts try to come back again and again. And this is what familiar spirits is or are. They are spirits that keep coming back to you to test you. Oh, will you fall for another guy like your other guy, or another woman like the other woman? Or will you believe that this job is better than that job when it's the same situation though? You want to look at your circumstances and see, are you passing your test, or are you simply going through another lesson because you haven't passed the test? You want to pass the test so you don't have to keep repeating the lesson over and over and over again. And I want you to know, you don't want to despise humble beginnings. The plans Yah has, He will permit problems to give you the victory. He wants you to have the victory, but how are you going to have victory when there's no problems? How are you going to achieve something when you ain't had to go through nothing? How are you going to say you're a warrior, or you're this or you're that, when you ain't never did nothing? You're going to show somebody else the way when you don't got the way. So there has to be a test. There is no way out of having a test. There is no victory without a test. And so I want you to know today that you are a solution to someone's problem, even if the problem is simply your problem right now. Because guess what? You're going to have people you mentor. You're going to have people that you're going to give your testimony to, and they're going to need your story to come through. They're going to want your story. I wrote the Embrace Your Crown series because I wanted to be able to share my story so that I can show people their story within my story, and how our stories are connected. If we're all part of the kingdom of God, then that means all of our stories are connected, and they are. And I want you to know that if you want to become a pillar of your family, if you are called to do that, the only way to do that is to embrace your crown, to embrace your gift, to embrace your journey. And I say your because the Bible even says you got to work out your own soul salvation. So this isn't making you a narcissist or making you feel like everything is about you. It's not that, it's not like that. But it is meant to say, when you put your own mask on, like they say on the airplane, then you can go help somebody else and not die in the process. Some of us are dying in the process of helping others, saving others, giving to others. And, the Bible says obedience is greater than sacrifice. Some of us are sacrificing things in our lives never meant to be sacrificed, never meant for you to go through. He wanted you to be obedient, but He never asked you to do the stuff that you're doing. So if the Father asks you to do something, just do what He's asking you to do. And sometimes that does come with a sacrifice. Like Joseph had to sacrifice to sit in that prison and not, do stuff he can't do and not supposed to do. Yep. Don't despise humble beginnings. You don't want to despise humble beginnings because we all start somewhere. There is some place for all of us to begin. And as we start to allow the Father to show us what that looks like, that's how we end up getting to where we're supposed to be. And so I want you to know, being a pillar of your family is a gift, but it's also an assignment. Like everybody feel like, oh, I'm a pillar of my family. Yeah. But how many of y'all know if you're a pillar of your family, it's a whole lot of responsibility that comes with that too. And some of us don't want it because of the responsibility. And so, when we're answering the call that's put on our lives, the same gift that got him ostracized, sold into slavery, and brought pain will be used to make him a pillar to his family. Some of the things that people judged you for, oh, you talk too much. Oh, you do this. Or are you so busy? Why you got so many businesses? Why you always doing something? Why don't you just sit somewhere? Do you know that those same things are going to be the things that the Father will use to deliver you? He says, I will use the what? The foolish things to confound the wise. That means the things that other people don't understand about you will be the same things they'll learn to love and embrace about you. Many people that become an artist, they become an artist because of their unique perspectives on life. Whether they use, maybe they're autistic, maybe they have a learning or dyslexia problem, or maybe they have some kind of, we would call challenge or struggle But that same challenge or struggle is what helps to bring other people out, or helps us help other people to see another way to see life. A lot of people will say, well, I could have never wrote this song if I never went through heartbreak, or if I never went through this. And so I want to encourage you, the very things that may feel like is worthless and useless are the same things that the Father will make something great come out of. He says, I will give you beauty for your ashes. So the things that you think are dead and are useless, the Father will turn around and show you how he can bring new life out of those things. So if right now you feel like, okay, I don't got nothing, Crystal, like it looks like all I got is this. You remember that lady in the Old Testament who all she had was oil? And the oil was what the Father gave, but she had no vessels. She had no nothing to put it in. And he said, go borrow the vessels and sell to get yourself out of the debt you're in. Because her husband died and left her with all his debt. And her children were supposed to be sold as slaves, and everything was tearing apart. But in the midst of this problem, it allowed the Father to show himself strong. Some in the New Testament it says, why was my children born this way? Or why does this person have a disability and that one, or whatever? Is it because the mother or the father sinned to cause this to happen to their children? And it says, no. It says, for the Father's glory. His glory. We don't get the glory for the things that the Father fixes. We get the victory because he pulls us through. So if you are in a position where you feel like, oh my goodness, this is the worst thing, allow the Father to step in and get the glory, and you'll be surprised at what your victory will look like. Because it doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be disappointment, right? And there is no glory without the test, as I said a little bit earlier. And I just want to remind you of that. We know that Joseph would be the family member who would be used by the Father to save the Hebrews from poverty. And I want to tell you, when you embrace who you are and you allow the Father to use you to become a pillar of your family, you're going to realize that it was never only about you. It was never only about you. The reason why you want to become the very best you can become is because you are needed by the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, your family, those that lean on you, look to you, see you as a mentor, advisor, all of these things will require you to become the very best you that you can be. So it's not just about you having everything and you. I know I say a lot of yous before, but that's because there is only certain things that you can do. And when those things are not done, though, everybody suffers the same way that everybody can win when you do, you know what I'm saying, use those gifts for the glory of God. And so I want to encourage you on that, especially. Let's say you're right. Oh, I appreciate that. So I just want to share that comment real quick before I go into the last point. So the last point is the battle versus the war. Let me be clear. In life, we may lose battles. You know what I'm saying? You may lose tests. You may miss the assignment. You may fail at something. Life isn't going to always be perfect. Life isn't going to always go the way you want it to go. Life can be tricky. Life can be misleading. People can be with you today and abandon you tomorrow. And, some of those might be battles you lose. Sometimes you go through divorce. Sometimes you go through separation. Sometimes you get fired. I mean, like I've gotten let go once. And it was kind of funny because in the process, they was like, I have nothing wrong to say about you, but you're just not the mother hen or whatever that we require. So it wasn't your effort. It wasn't your integrity. It wasn't your quality. It was just the fact that what you bring, they didn't feel like they needed or it met their needs. And so I want to encourage you, if you had to be separated from a relationship, a business, a company, or friendship or whatever, doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make them a bad person. It could just be you may not have been what they were looking for. You might have been, they could have been a decoy, a person that was sent on assignment, yes, or they could just been a person that honestly thought you were it and they realized that you wasn't. And I agree with Jacob. He says, how can you learn if you never fall? And it's when you fall that you learn to appreciate your win. When you fail, you appreciate winning all the more. The Bible says those who have been forgiven much love much. So those who don't feel like they got any wrong, have you noticed how overly self-confident they can become? Where they feel like nothing about them stink, nothing about them needs to be changed. They got it all together and the world is at fault. It's never them, it's everybody else. And this is how this happens. Is if you don't embrace your positives and your negative, because everything in life has that duality. You know what I'm saying? The positive and negative frequency. So there's going to be good things about you and things that ain't so good. And the good thing is when you can find people that will love you and support you, irregardless of those things. Now, I don't mean condone you doing foolishness, but I mean that they will stand with you and say, hey, look, here's how you can improve. Hey, look, here's how you can become better. Hey, look, I saw this and I wanted to bring this to your attention. These are the people you need desperately in your life. People that can still love you even as they hold you accountable. Accountability is still love. If someone will never hold you accountable, they can't not honestly say they love you because the world will hold you accountable. If you go out here and do something crazy, you can end up in jail because that's accountability. If you go out here and cheat on your wife or cheat on your spouse and end up divorced because of it, that's a reaction or recourse to a choice you made. And so all of these things are relative and they all are interconnected. And so, lastly, I want to bring you guys to some action steps that I want to encourage you to consider as we are essentially starting the month of May and we're looking at how we can graduate and elevate this month. That's what this month is about, graduation and elevation in your lessons and in your tests, because you can pass this, you can complete the test. Okay. The first thing I want you to notice is you won't win every battle or control the playing field to win. Sometimes you're born in a family that is not right, meaning they got problems. Sometimes you'll be born in a country that's got a lot going on. Sometimes you'll be born in all kinds of situations that require, something or everything from you, and you don't get to control it. Some things will be out of your hands, but you have to keep focused on what you are looking to do. In the third book, it says sharpen your focus. As you sharpen your focus, you'll be able to zero in on where you're going. And even if you may not reach everything you wanted to accomplish, you will. I love that saying. It says, shoot for the moon because you can land amongst the stars. So sometimes where you land may be different than where you began. But the whole point is you moved and you elevated. And that's okay. It's okay. Next thing, don't change from what was promised to chase what could be if that is beneath what you were promised by Yah or God Almighty. Some of us are promised great things. We're believing for them, praying about them. We're even living a balanced life to achieve them. When you are disciplined, the enemy remind you that it does. When you are living a life that the Father requires, He is a good God. He says, I know how to give my children good gifts. So if you are doing what He's asking you to do, why would He not give you what? The desires of your heart. He said He would. But do you believe Him? And are you taking the action steps to operate in that? Okay. So I want you to consider that. And I want you to think on that as we're going through these action steps. And if you are doing your part, don't think the Father will leave you empty handed or His word won't accomplish what He sent it out to do, because He will. Next, I want you to search your heart. I want you to look at your sphere of influence and consider if you are settling for decoys instead of the real thing. The real thing doesn't mean no problems, but it means your purpose can be fulfilled. After the first has become last, the last shall become first, but responsibility comes from the crown. Being first is to be an example, even a ransom for many, as is written in Mark 10:45. We are to be like Him, like Yeshua or Jesus the Christ, giving and sharing the good news. In all things we do, there is power in the name of Yeshua or Jesus the Christ. So I just want to encourage you today. I want you to look at what might be a decoy in your life, what might be stealing away your confidence, and what do you need to return back to or get back in the path. If you lost a lesson or a battle, it's okay. You can still win the war. Your life ain't over yet, but your life will end. This lesson will complete. Your life story, your book will end. It will close. The question is, what will you have to show for it? What would you like the world to know? What would you want the Father to judge you for? And that's what you want to focus on today. Well, y'all, I am author Kay Lee, and this is Embrace Your Crown First Sunday. I am beyond excited to, be able to be with y'all today. And as we are wrapping up here in Atlanta, I am excited. I'll see y'all again at another live event. Thank you for all the lovely people that supported me today and are on this live. I love y'all. And I trust that you are going to find the right book that will connect with you and just take you to where you want to be. I'm going to throw the Embrace Your Crown website up in case you want to get more involved with what we're doing and what I do. If you want any of the books, if you want mentoring with me, you can go to the website, embraceyourcrown.com, and you can grab the books, you can grab content and all kinds of stuff. But there's like 10 more minutes here at this event, so I'm going to go do that, jump in here, and I will be back again soon and all that good stuff. Yes, so you can subscribe if you do want to access, the books and get things like that monthly. So you don't have to do it one at a time. Trying to think, make sure I cover all my bases, y'all. And then ultimately, I want to tell y'all thank you. So I'm just going to put that up. And actually, I'm not going to put it up. I'm just going to tell y'all thank you. There it is. So thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for being with me.
I'm
And
excited
I will
that we
see
are
y'all
going to be
again next
releasing
month.
a
All
new
right. So
mentor
tell your
program
friends,
for Embrace
love
Your
and
Crown,
friends, and bye
featuring
bye for
all
now.
3 books. So, if you've been wanting to grow this year and just honestly achieve some things you've been believing for, praying for, maybe you haven't been praying, but you just know that there are some things you need to do, you want to do, and you could use someone to kind of nudge you and help, just keep you encouraged, and then also give you some, helpful, tips as you kind of, go through this process in your life. So if I can be a part of that, I would love to. I'm Dr. Crystal Lee. I am an author, published author, minister, and chaplain, and I would love to be there with you. So if I can do that for you, be there with you, let me know. And I look forward to seeing you in my mentor program. You can go to embraceyourcrown.com and you can essentially enroll into my Embrace Your Crown mentor program. So if you would like to join, please go to my website, Embrace Your Crown.
Oh, let me, huh? Okay, guys. Well, I'm back and I'm back at my booth. This is my helper. In case y'all wanted to know a little bit more about what we're doing. Hi, hi, hi. Thanks, Kate Boogie, for being here. And then my other client is here too, Kinimation in the back. Serena, Melvina. Yes, it was a good time, y'all. I pray again that I'll see y'all at another live event, y'all. I thank y'all so much for coming to support me. Bye. That's the thing. It makes me anxious in the stream.